Sowing and harvesting under the fire Russian army mined farmland and cropland that has been turned into battlefields. Ukraine had never, in the entire history of independence, paid such a price for its bread.
Despite all the difficulties, we fully cover our domestic consumption of wheat, about 6.7 million tons per year. And even according to pessimistic forecasts, we will have about 26 million tons of wheat this year. That is, we have the ability to provide both ourselves and the world with food. Denis Bashlyk, Deputy Minister of Agrarian Policy and Food of Ukraine for Digital Development, Digital Transformation and Digitalization on Telegram.
Ukraine has fully provided itself with grain for 2023, said Prime Minister Denis Shmyhal. In total, Ukrainian farmers harvested more than 60 million tons. This means that it will be possible to further export food to countries that depend on Ukrainian supplies. The main recipients are developing countries of Asia and Africa. To prevent starvation in these regions, Kyiv launched the Grain from Ukraine initiative.
Thanks to the grain initiative, 15 million tons of products were exported, and through Ukraine's Danube port more than 10 million tons. The new logistics concerns not only waterways but also railway and road transport. Several key crossing points from Poland have been significantly expanded, and a new point on the border with Romania has been opened.
However, Ukrainian ports are forced to operate at less than half of their capacity because Russia is slowing down the process of inspection of ships with food products as much as it can. According to the Ministry of Agrarian Policy and Food of Ukraine, about 120 ships are in line for inspection in the Bosporus Strait. The average waiting time is 2 to 5 weeks.
If physically several dozen ships can be inspected per day, only a few inspections are actually carried out, because the inspectors physically stay on one ship for a long time, delaying the time. Of course, the Russians are not interested in making this corridor work and giving Ukraine an advantage, so this is one of those passive ways of slowing down the situation.
Such tactics of Russian officials are hitting the budgets of ship owners and agrarians.
When we talked to traders, they called the price from $20,000 per day downtime. Accordingly, all these funds that will accumulate during the downtime for entry and exit will fall on the Ukrainian agrarian. This is reflected in tens of dollars per ton of production.
The Grain from Ukraine initiative was a response of Ukraine and the global democratic community to the food crisis provoked by Russian aggression. Now Kyiv is forced to look for additional ways to deliver grain to countries that need it.
The option that gives an opportunity to increase the number of shipments from Ukraine is that larger ships enter the territory of Ukraine, which load not by 20 but by 60 tons. Naturally, this increases the number of exported products. In the last week, we have increased the volumes we had before the moment when Russia reduced the number of its teams that inspect vessels. Now the situation is being actively discussed to build dry elevators that would accept a large amount of grain on the territory of Ukraine and the border with Poland.
By the end of spring, Ukraine plans to provide grain to more than 5 million people within the Grain from Ukraine initiative, the Office of the President stated. Since the beginning of the initiative, more than 30 donor countries have already joined it. These are not only partners from the European Union, but also Qatar, Turkey, Japan, Norway, Korea, Canada and the United States. Reported by Roman Smoler, Vlada Tsurkan, UATV News.